You've stumbled into a podcast. We like to call it a show to set ourselves outside of podcasts. But of course, technically, if you want to get technical, that's what it is anyway. You've stumbled into the Binge-Watchers Podcast. I'm Johnny Spoiler. I happen to spoil movies that I love. You got to deal with it. Joined as always by the Scream Queen herself, Jordan Savage, who's so savage she can review a movie without having seen it. Don't ask me how, just tune in and find out. That's the show. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers Podcast.
Home video headlines. What's going on with TV and movies outside of the movie of the week that we're about to drop on y'all? Let's see. There's this fantasy movie called Deathstalker, and it's from the 80s. It's like when Italy was making a bunch of sword and sandal, Conan the Barbarian style epic movies. I do like Deathstalker. I think I've seen Deathstalker 2. Not sure if I've seen 3. You can't really find these movies anymore, so somebody probably has like a work print or like VHS copy that they've like a pirated copy is probably floating around on YouTube or something. But or the Internet Movie Archives. I don't know. I like Deathstalker. The first one actually is getting I think it's getting a blue. It either has a DVD release or it's getting one anyway. But the filmmakers behind horror movies like The Void and PG Psycho Gorman, which are very specific style horror movies, like very stylistic horror movies out of a group in Canada. They're going to be doing the new Deathstalker, so I'm pretty jazzed about it because The Void is pretty scary and has like basically a portal to hell gets opened up in a hospital in The Void, and it's freaking awesome. So, and they do like old school, cosmetic monster makeup effects. PG Psycho Gorman is like if the Power Rangers villain was the main character, so you're following like some kind of intergalactic monster warlord. His name is Psycho Gorman. Well, his nickname is Psycho Gorman. But over the course of the movie, he tags along with there's a brother and sister, but the sister has like kind of like her own little bit of bloodlust. So she's like definitely there for like the outrageous stuff that he wants to do. She's like all there for it, right? But her and her brother play like some kind of game. So they're trying to still play their game, but now with this intergalactic monster who has real powers to make things happen. Like at one point, they turn a police officer into like an undead puppet zombie that follows him around. And there's no way to explain this movie except to say, if you know what Power Rangers is, it's teenagers with superpowers that fight monsters that grow to incredible sizes. So this movie is just kind of like, what if there was an extreme? What if you just saw it from the point of view of one of the monsters? What are their goals, wants, and desires? And then, and then if you had that, if you wanted to take like, a children's adventure story, but then it's R-rated, like you mix it in there, and it's just kind of like an acid trip of like after school specials from like the 90s. Put together somehow with like a Power Rangers plot. That's the best I can describe it. It's a standalone movie. Like
that sounds awesome.
We've never officially reviewed it on the show, but ages ago when it came out, we all watched it. And like what's funny is like there's a stack of movies that Jordan missed because she's a late bloomer to the binge watch game. Just kidding. She
That's true though.
Jordan started in like season 50. We're on like season 63. How do the seasons break down? Every month is a new season, so that's why it's an outrageous amount. Like we should be on like season 5 if it was normal time, but it's like no, there's 4 episodes a month, and so we count a season every month. And so just because like she was on the team later, she's a newer recruit, so to speak, in the movie world with us, or a team member. I don't know what you want to call it. Oh, she's a host. I'm like, what is her actual title? What is your actual title on the show? anyway, and that's one of the ones in near miss. You know what I mean? Like, I think literally we were watching that maybe 6 months before Jordan got on the microphone, maybe. But it's an insane movie. Anyway, so anyway, yeah, this group of filmmakers, they're gonna have no problem making a Deathstalker movie. Like, they've already kind of done it, you know. So anyway, bit of sad news. Gotta back up the train a little bit. I know we're all getting excited already. It's a pretty fun episode so far, right out of the gate, right off the jump. However, the creator of Dragon Ball is dead, Akira Toriyama. So what's Dragon Ball? It's a manga series. It got adapted into an anime series, which then had sequels. It's like Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z are contained within the manga. There's like 519 chapters or 40 or so volumes of the comic book, which is called a manga, and because they're like graphic novels, right? But there's like serious graphic novels, right? So Japanese artwork in their comic books, they're not called comics, they're called manga, right? That's their word, whatever. And but then Dragon Ball becomes a TV show. What is it about? It's a kid with a monkey tail. It's kind of loosely based on Journey into the West, which is Chinese mythology. There is a Monkey King in the Chinese story, and they escorts a Buddhist monk and has to defend the Buddhist monk from a series of like demons and gods or whatever. And the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, is going to be like a god at some point or whatever, or he's like the jester of the gods. He like defies them, right? Whatever. It's like a demigod story, right? But in the Dragon Ball version, it's like this kid Goku doesn't know he's from like a race of aliens called the Saiyans. You find that out later in like the second part of the story, Dragon Ball Z. But in Dragon Ball, he's the kid with like extraordinary martial arts skills and like no social skills, and then goes on adventures, right? And then Dragon Ball Z is like, oh, you're an alien, dude. So you're like part of an alien race of warriors who are like kind of like, they go around from planet to planet, like clearing planets for people that buy entire planets. I don't know, because they're like indentured servants to another alien who becomes one of the main villains in the series in Dragon Ball Z. And then there was like some spin-offs. There's like a direct-to-television sequel, Dragon Ball GT, which is like not canon. And then there's Dragon Ball Super, which just happened. Again, we're talking about like hundreds of episodes, 13 movies, TV specials. So clearly, like in the pantheon of pop culture, long story short is this dude is pretty impressive. He's like one of those artists where you just like, when they die, you just feel like, oh, a little bit of magic is gone from the world.
Mm-hmm.
He also did like art for the popular video games Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest, which is a series of video games, RPG stuff. Anyway, that's a pretty long-winded summary, but I think I said a fair enough about him. Anyway, great artist, will be missed. But everybody, if you have nothing but months of time to kill, go watch Dragon Ball, because it's going to take months to watch. You know what I mean? Like you could be crushing 10 episodes a day, and we'll see you 6 months from now. There's so much content in Dragon Ball now. It's really hard. Like, it's even hard. What did it take me? 4 minutes to summarize the whole series? Because there's
you got me hyped though. Yeah,
exactly. But I didn't go into the side quests or like the other characters or the power levels or how the martial art. Like, I didn't. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, there's another movie coming out called Cocaine Werewolf. All right, leaving the kids' stories aside, we're leaving the anime world. We're going into, well, actually, you could probably name an anime for grown-ups called Cocaine Werewolf, and that would probably make a really cool cartoon. But it's not an anime. It's there was this movie Elizabeth Banks made called Cocaine Bear, which is loosely based on a true story about a bear that accidentally eats cocaine and goes on a rampage. And of course, the movie's exaggerated, but it was pretty funny. And when it came out, people liked it. It's like a B movie, right? And someone then decided, oh, let's make a parody. We'll make Cocaine Shark. Apparently, the geniuses behind Cocaine Shark are now going to expand into werewolf territory with Cocaine Werewolf. All I can say is, Jordan had mentioned sometimes you can do well with rubber mask monsters. I've seen the poster for Cocaine Werewolf. Oh. I've seen a still shot that they took out of ripped from the video. It's clearly a rubber mask. I don't think the werewolf's mouth moves.
You're trying to team me up with this.
but listen, it's an alien looking like the werewolf looks nuts. So I kind of
keep that on your radar.
Part of me wants to watch Cocaine Werewolf, and there's nothing I can do about it.
You know, it's funny. I saw Cocaine Sharks the other day because I was reading this book about great white sharks, and I was just trying to watch some more shark-related content, and that was one of the movies suggested. So I was going to bring that
looking
up.
for shark. You're reading a shark book.
Mhm.
I know. I actually do know that because of your TikToks.
I did.
Like anyway,
Yeah.
Jordan's branching out as a content creator. She's leaving the podcast, putting it behind her, and she's going off on book talk. Like,
okay, hold up right there.
Because Paris Hilton loves her TikToks that
She
Jordan's
did
done
laugh.
with us.
She did comment on it.
Jordan is now too cool for school and will be leaving the show behind.
So not true.
In the dust.
Anyways, Cocaine Shark looked interesting. So
yeah, no, so well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either, but
because they got to werewolf status again, like, I mean, we kind of already established that there's like, I don't know. I'm really not a film snob because I grew up on what people could argue are the worst movies, and so I'm kind of warped in the other sense that like,
totally,
a lot of things get around my filters because of all these trashy movies that I watched as a kid.
Back when we watched Pride and Prejudice and zombies, I was like, we should do everything zombies. So I feel like this is kind of like everything and zombies. Yeah. And so maybe this is the cocaine insert animal here, or insert, creature here.
It's gonna be a whole subgenre now. They're gonna we'll get 12 sequels related to drug rage-induced animals. We'll get there, right? Yeah. Yep. Instead of Planet of the Apes, it'll be like Planet of the Cocaine Apes.
There you go. That sounds terrifying.
It will. You're like, it's terrifying. Like, yeah, that would actually be scary if an ape got into a handful of like some drugs that gave it rage abilities. That would be scary. You're right. Cocaine tiger. That's an easy one. The lords over there in the jungle are fighting over drugs. That tiger could easily get into it. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Let's see. What else is going on? We watched a movie this week. It's called Wishmaster 2, Evil Never Dies. The djinn gets set free again. He goes to prison for whatever reason, and he tries to snatch enough souls to kick off the apocalypse. I had made a mistake in my notes. I had written get off the apocalypse. That's a different movie. That's a different Wishmaster. That's a different cut of the film. That's a whole different. That's a whole different movie.
It's funny that you brought that up.
Yeah. What was I thinking about when I was typing these notes? Who knows? We'll never know.
You were probably watching the scene when the priest and her started.
Oh man. Up. Okay. Well, see.
Sorry. Anyways, I got some stats for us, though. So,
since you opened that can of worms, before Jordan even delivers the savage stats, I will just point out that the movie takes place in Eastern mythology or Middle Eastern Persian gods and mythology, and they talk about Ahura Mazda keeping everything in check, being the opposite of the djinn, which is like, in this version, is only evil. I mean, in real mythology, it seems like it's kind of like a gray area. Like, they can do good and bad just based on who abuses their abilities. But then this movie quickly mixes it with Christianity. And so the opposing forces are Jesus and his buddies. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, come on, we're mixing. When you start to mix like myth, like religion versus religion, and it's not even the same like hemisphere or whatever, you're just like, oh, we're starting to break the rules, Yeah. Anyway,
rules were broken.
Well, because in the first one they had like a temple sorcerer that was still within like 1,000 Arabian Nights with like Aladdin and everybody, or Sinbad in that whole mythology or the legends. So it kind of fit, but now it's like, oh yeah, Brother Gabriel or Brother Gabe or whatever his name is in this movie. I don't
Gregory.
know. Oh, Brother Greg is gonna crack open a cold one and then take on, an evil genie. Actually, no, he's gonna take the sacramental wine, then go fight the evil genie with his ex-girlfriend, who's a professional thief. We'll get into that. We will get into that.
We will get into that.
We will get into it.
But first, some savage stats. There's some fun ones today. So Andrew Divoff, who plays the djinn in human form in this film, in the first Wishmaster film, and in this one, he just doesn't blink at all when his eyes are visible, which is a lot because he's one of the main characters. There's even scenes where his eyes are visible for like 2 to 3 minutes. And because I was like, he looked scary, but then
I have a hard time blinking. Like I have eye drops because my eyes dry out.
Your eyes are so dry.
I don't blink enough. Yeah, I mean, part of it could be contact lenses, but
oh my God, story of my life. Yeah.
I mean, my friends are always chiming in on my socials, like, you didn't blink once in this video about this.
But like, he looks unhinged on purpose, right? Because he is playing a villain in this movie.
Oh yeah, he's totally warped in this.
He kind of has that like bugging thing about him. I just thought he had a menacing face, and then after reading
like he just throws into that look, like he developed that look and he just stuck in it.
But I was like, oh, he actually just doesn't, and it's a part, it plays a part in why he looks so menacing. But yeah, he just like doesn't blink in the entire movies. So at least the first two. So I thought this one was awesome just because I love him from The Lost Boys, but actor Corey Haim made an uncredited appearance.
No, Haim. Are you talking about Corey Haim?
Sorry, Haim. I think I did a little dyslexia there. So Corey Haim made an uncredited appearance. Sorry.
In Wishmaster 2?
Yeah, it's in the museum scene.
Oh, okay. All right.
But that's what it says. So I don't know. Fact check me.
I don't. Might be thrown I'll have to go back and look for him because I don't know.
Yeah, says that it might be even the burglar. Maybe it's one of the burglars that just has the mask. Because I don't think it is Eric, who plays the boyfriend. But
yeah,
that's what IMDb says. So we'll fact check it. I guess stay tuned.
That sounds like a Wikipedia fact. Like
I know, right? You're like
the
open
facts
to interpretation.
The facts aren't supported, like. Corey Haim's in Wishmaster 2. That's a mind blower to me. I don't know. I didn't notice. Otherwise, I would have mentioned that for sure. But.
Oh yeah, no. He's not the guy who plays Eric. So he's probably makes an uncredited appearance in the beginning. So we'll have to find out. Apparently,
there is one scene where. Spoiler alert, when she returns the stolen items to try to purify her own soul to take on the genie, the professional thief, whose name is like Megara or Morgana, potentially named after Morgana Le Fay, because Morgana Le Fay, as we know, is an evil sorceress. So anyway, Morgana the thief drops the stolen painting back in the museum. And at that time, it's like a gallery opening, so people are walking around. I wonder if he's in the crowd.
We'll have to look because apparently Holly Fields was his girlfriend at the time. So he did it as like a favor to her. So we'll have to play it back.
Oh, wait. She's the one playing Morgana, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So
and there's the casino setup where there's a bunch of people. I love Corey Haim. So for the fact that one of the Corys,
me too. Lost Boys is one of my favorite vampire movies. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean if Corey Haim is in this movie, the movie just got better, but we don't know. Unconfirmed. Anyway, moving on. What do we got?
But it says in the burglar in the museum scene. So there might have been more than one, more than just the two of them.
There's like three, right? Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So and they're the only two who didn't get away. So
surprised they did put his name above the poster. You know what
I mean? Could play a role of why it did get a little bit of a cult following, but also same with this stat is that one of the locations in the Lincoln Heights jail building is actually used in a lot of other movies. One of them being the basement of the old jail in the Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. So yeah, there you go. There's some stats for it. There you go.
Oh, that was quick. All right.
Yes. I got a quote, but it's a little messy. And it talks about a plot hole. And I'm like, it might be a little deep to go down. So.
Okay. We'll be right back with our favorite bits from Wishmaster 2. But first, a message about Pretty Litter.
Yes, Pretty Litter. So when my cat's healthy, he's happy, and that makes me happy. But since I'm not a mind reader, I don't always know when he is unwell. Helping me keep tabs on my cat's health is just one reason I use Pretty Litter. Pretty Litter's ultra absorbent crystals trap odor instantly. No more cat bathroom smell. I truly love that Pretty Litter doesn't have a strong fragrance smell on top of that like other options out there in the market. Pretty Litter's super light crystal base also minimizes mess and dust. Plus, the crystals last up to a month, which means less scooping and less trips to the garbage can. Here's the coolest thing about Pretty Litter. It changes colors to help monitor early signs of potential illness in my cats. I definitely have two, but most importantly, Frank, including urinary tract infections and kidney issues. Frank is missing a leg in the back, and I get concerned about his health all the time. So Pretty Litter gives me a bit of a sense of, peace of mind, knowing that I can rely on the color changing to make sure he's happy and healthy. A Pretty Litter ships free right to my door in small, lightweight bags. I never run out of it, and I don't have a huge container of litter taking up space and stinking up my place. Pretty Litter helps keep tabs on my cat's health and keeps odors down. You and your cat are going to love Pretty Litter as much as we do. Go to prettylitter.com/binge-watch and use code binge-watch to save 20% on your first order. That's prettylitter.com/binge-watch, code binge-watch to save 20%. prettylitter.com/binge-watch, code binge-watch. See site for details. Terms and conditions apply.
Dang, I learned some trivia about Jordan's cat. I didn't realize Frank was missing a leg. I didn't know that. Wow. All right. I'm going to be thinking about cats with missing legs. However, yeah, I support this product. So, if you want to take care of your cat's health and have like an idea of how they're doing, do what Jordan said. Go to prettylitter.com/binge-watch. Use our code binge-watch. And now back to the podcast already in progress with our favorite bits from Wishmaster 2. Evil never dies. Does it, Jordan? Spoiler alert. No, just kidding. Actually, he says several times, at least 5 times in every single movie. Well, at least the first 2. I'm immortal, duh.
Duh, right?
Oh my gosh.
I would say the favorite bit, other than Gregory and Morgana, getting a little handsy on the couch, would be obviously the casino. The casino's kind of going wild. And it's so that, of course,
so you like the buffet of death, like as many people as we can take out in a single set piece.
It just makes sense,
just carnage,
right?
Just absolute carnage.
He's trying to get all of his souls, which he needs to get 1,000 before. 1,001. 1,000.
I'm glad this movie told us how much he had in his little soul bucket.
The soul,
or inside
soul
the jewel.
Counter.
He's like, I got about 802. You're like, oh man, he's got to get 200 more. Like, where's it going? The Russians are like, I know where you can get all these souls. You go to the casino.
And if you're like, okay, so, if you could go collect a bunch of souls and people who are willing to make a wish with the devil.
And that wasn't a bad accent. That's what Yardakov or Yogi or whatever the guy's name is, Yogurt or whatever his buddy is from Bulgaria or whatever, who breaks out of the jail with him. But anyway, the jail's kind of cool. It's kind of funny that he gets booked in and so anyway, do you want to know why anybody knows about the Wishmaster movies? Iconic for one scene. And it's not even in the first one, it's in this one. Because the one guy wishes that his lawyer would go F himself. And then the lawyer's body gets all bent to pieces, so he can actually.
I didn't know if they were gonna go there.
Actually, pump himself in that scene. So, like right after the lawyer says, "Oh, dude, we made a mistake, and you're gonna get off," and then the lawyer gets all twisted up and dead, and so the guy's stuck in jail anyway. That's why people know about this movie, because that's the thing that gets turned into the gift. That's the scene that everybody talks about. So they haven't forgot about Wishmaster because of the prison lawyer scene.
Well, I should have known that was coming too, especially in the beginning when Eric makes a wish that he was never been born, and he goes backwards in time and pretty much turns into a baby and reverse live himself in a sense. I should have known that when they said that.
Yeah, the djinn really gets off when people say wishes that he knows are going to end in horrible, tragic pain. He goes, okay, sounds great. You know what I mean? Like his eyes light up, like you said. At one point, right before the prison guard accidentally makes a wish, did you see the djinn turn to the camera like, "Hey guys, he just wished. Let's see what's about to happen." Did you notice that? Like at one point he turns to the camera. Yeah, he left it in like a nod, like, "You guys know what's coming." Anyway. Though, I mean, I've already said my favorite bits without like officially declaring them. So
yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool when, there's card counter machines that are just like sending out freaking cards, just like karate chopping people in the eye and cutting throats and
there's
stuff.
this weird trend in the 90s of like ninja star deaths. So like in Hellraiser 3, it's actual CDs, right? Like when they were burning music on the discs like DVD, but they were compact discs, right? So those are flying through the air, cutting people in that movie. And in this, like you said, the poker game cards and the roulette balls are shooting everybody.
Yep, the roulette balls.
It's like a thing. It's like a thing in the 90s horror movies. Oh, this is like 99, so we're almost in 2000. Really crappy video effects. Clearly, they only had one or two djinn costumes because it's a solid piece, rubber suit or whatever, or
it's detailed, yeah,
or polyester suit or something. I don't know, because like in the first movie, it looks like it's made out of 4 or 5 pieces and it's kind of fleshy looking and covered in slime. And this one, I mean, like when he gets sucked into the jewel this time, it's just like a superimposed video picture of his face, and then they cropped it down and it gets sucked in with computer effects into the jewel, rather than it's like, oh man, they didn't really want to blow up the costume. I'm like, oh, maybe they only had like 1 or 2 rubber suits. You know what I mean? The whole movie, like it is a direct to video. I don't know where it aired, but it said like it went straight, or maybe just VHS. Maybe you're like VHS and DVD releases. Maybe it just went right to the video store shelves or something.
Well, it makes sense to me. I think about like how a lot of movies that we watched when we were, that age back then, you'd see them on whatever channel had made them, or, and there's some, parts of the script where I was like, I don't know was that appropriate for 90s television. I know it was different back then. Things could be said a lot more differently than they are now. But I'm like, there's no way that you would see this like on a sci-fi channel or something back in the 90s, or it's possible, but the direct-to-video almost makes sense just because there is a little bit of some risque language in it. So, but yeah.
So there's 2 more sequels that I don't think anybody talks about, but Christianity's war on the jinn continues. Like, actually, he fights angels like in the later sequels.
Wow!
But it's a different actor that plays the genie, the jinn. Yeah. So that's the other weird thing is like we looked into the trivia on the first one and we got the impression that like I don't know, the actor might have been available, but the scripts were maybe awful. I mean, this one's barely holding on. I don't think this one made enough money to justify the next 2, but Bokeem Woodbine makes an appearance in this movie. He plays the casino manager. So, and he brings a lot of energy to all the stuff that he does. So, again, like, could have been a throwaway part, but because a decent, like, energetic actor is playing the casino manager, it's a standout in this movie. Who else is it? Who else stands out in this movie? His Russian tag-along or whatever, who has second thoughts. He's like, oh, I screwed up. I shouldn't have helped the genie. Who else? I mean, Jordan's all hot for steamy brother Greg or whatever, or the like
Gregory, Father Gregory. I was like, okay, all right.
So clearly he was a bad boy, right? Because he tried to turn his life around and ends up taking the cloth, and his girlfriend is still a professional thief. So
yes, New Morgana.
He was probably going down the same road, right? And then like somehow, had a little break from her and ended up being a cardinal, not cardinal, because that's like that's like a lieutenant level. I don't know, man. It looks like Orthodox, right? Because it doesn't look like a Catholic church that they go to. I don't know. Movie churches, especially in like a direct-to-video sequel, it's just like it looks like a hodgepodge of like 3 different kinds of churches. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. Also, when we're hodgepodging,
it's just like insert fake movie church, like, and this guy, is the reverend or whatever. Dang. Like, well, one of those sequels is called The Prophecy Fulfilled. So at some point, you think the jinn's gonna like actually get his objective. What is he, like 3,000 years old and never gets to accomplish his mission or whatever?
Oh gosh.
Unfortunately, he's like at this point he's developing a sense of humor, right? He's going like the Freddy Krueger route with his monster attitude. So you're in part 2, you're starting to maybe like the jinn too much.
Right.
And he's the monster. You know what I mean? But you're like, oh man, I kind of, you know, you kind of like, you're kind of hoping for it. I guess because you just want that bloodlust in a horror movie. You're like, I kind of want the apocalypse to happen. At least in this movie. I just made Jordan watch this because I got her through the first one, and then I'm like, but you know, she's gonna see that they start to fall off the map.
That's okay. I mean? Like, I needed it in my life. I was like, cool. I need something that's a little silly, a little ridiculous, and it was perfect. So, for what I needed it to be. So,
what are the fans doing? They're watching Jordan's book reviews on TikTok.
We didn't rate it.
Oh wait, sorry, I got to back up. Segment 4, back it up. You're right. We have a rating system that's unique to the. I just wanted to tease her about TikTok. See, I'm already getting. Man, I got too excited to whatever, mess with you again. Yeah, we have a rating thing on the show. We do binge now, binge later, binge never. Basically, binge now, get at the top of your list, whatever you're watching. Binge later, get around to it, but it doesn't have to go number one. You know, before you watch something else, clear your schedule for. And binge never. Well, if we're talking about razzing and teasing and just a good old-fashioned fun, Jordan held fast that there is no such thing as binge never, because you will remember a bad movie and maybe go back to watch it or tell somebody about it and then they'll watch it. But then she did have to do a binge never recently, so you never know. It's a palate cleanser, folks. Sometimes you just can't go back to the movies. Where does Wishmaster? I forgot to mention during the favorite bits that like he also says "Evil Never Die." He says the title. At one point, he says the title of the movie, you know, to another character.
I always love that, though. You know, whatever they call that move when they bring up the title and like the script or something.
Yeah, I forgot what they call it too, but it's kind of funny. It's definitely a trope. It's definitely a thing that happens in movies.
Yeah, it is. Binge later for me. You know, I loved it. I binge now-ish. You know, I was excited to watch it just because.
Dang.
You know, life. It was a binge later. Dang. You know, you got to watch the first one first, and then this one obviously does fall apart, like you mentioned. So, but no, I just still has that like
it's still fun enough.
90s.
It's still entertaining. It's still entertaining enough to.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right. Wow, I was gonna say binge later, but it is technically a binge now, which means it's a higher rated movie than we've done recently. Which is really funny. That's what it is. Don't have expectations.
Don't have expectations.
Don't have any expectations. But that's what it's the fun. It's the that's what it is, man. It's the
movie magic, baby.
It's a stress reliever. That's what because it falls in the category of a movie that can make you calm down after like a bad day or a tense day at work or like. You know, a fight with a loved one, or like you're just stressed out. You just turn on Wishmaster 2 and
decompress.
Watch an attorney have sex with himself. You'll be like
that you won't regret.
Man, I did say the word cocaine several times. This was actually a PG episode until I said you know, watch somebody do themselves. But hey, I didn't wish it. Hey, to be fair. The brother in the prison, it wasn't my wish. Okay. But you know, like they always joke about attorneys, right? So it falls into that, like, you know, making jokes about lawyers or whatever. Whatever. I've already explained that it's the iconic moment of the film. I don't have to sell this film to anybody, right?
No. I mean, honestly, great scene. Yeah. It's like weird. You know it's coming and you're like, is this happening? And now I'm always going to remember that when I tell somebody to, you know.
Although, to be fair, the lawyer was kind of a lame dude. It could have been a better looking dude, or it could have been much more intense. They did do a PG version of the scenario. To be fair, most of the witches are not that grotesque. Even though in their nature they are grotesque, what they ask for could be really blown up out of control. But for the most part, the special effects are kind of reserved, actually.
I would say so.
Especially if it was made now, who knows what we would get, right? Who knows what we would get today? It is a bummer that we don't ever get another Wishmaster with the original actor. That is a problem. Like they could easily do like, hey, Wishmaster, what is it? 30 years ago? 35? Where are we at with the timeline? Is it let's see. 2019 to 99 would have been 10 years, right?
So
if they go to 2029, it'd be 20 years, right? Are we?
No,
we're
30
like 50
years, right?
No, I don't know where I'm at. Somebody do
30?
the math on this. Anyway, it could be like, hey, guess what? It's the 30th anniversary. We got a new Wishmaster or whatever.
Yeah, I would say it makes me reluctant to watch any of the other ones without him. So, yeah. Stay tuned to next week. Just kidding. With Wishmaster 3. Just kidding. Just kidding. I don't know.
But it does sound like you like a little bit of that, those star-crossed lover, unnatural / inappropriate love affairs.
Totally. Absolutely.
That are breaking all the rules. So, I think the Jinn falls in love in one of the movies, right? Does he fall in this?
Bring it on. Let's watch it.
He doesn't hook up with one of the angels he's fighting, but he does. I think he does start to fall in love with one of the jewel beholders or one of the. What do you call it? I don't know.
She like an appraiser or something or a collector?
No, like the person he gets attached to is supposed to do the wishes. I don't know what they're. Because you think they would be the wish. They would be the wish. You think they would be the Wishmaster? No, they don't have like a title, right?
No, it's like whoever awoken the jewel,
right? But what do you don't
upon
like?
The
what do you
gin,
call that person? Like,
well, I mean, if we're talking about like other genie movies, then it is technically. It's like the genie and the master, right? If we're talking about other ones, but then that's not really what he is.
Yeah.
Because they are kind of shackled to the wish, right? Until they make the wishes. So I don't know.
Except there's this what is the name of this book? Dang it. American Gods, where like all the gods are real, and then the American gods are like media, like the internet, like these new gods appear and they're fighting like all the gods from Egypt and the Nordic gods, so like Odin and Thor, all those guys. And there's like a demigod who's like the main character who fits into like kind of like an in between. But what was the point of my story? Oh, in that jinns are like a sexually transmitted like virus curse, almost like you take the place of the next genie. Which that's kind of a cool angle. Like,
right,
you become the next genie that has to serve whoever has whatever the next wish is or whatever. And I was like,
and I feel like I've seen other genie stories like that, right? Like because then you're stuck in a lamp until like the next master comes along, and then you get released if they make 3 wishes or whatever. So yeah, it's an interesting,
So that's our 10-minute rating of Wishmaster 2. I think they know everything they need to know about Wishmaster. What are the fans doing? Well, not really sure. I'm not keeping up with what they're doing. Hopefully they're tuning in and listening to episodes of the Binge-Watchers podcast. So it's funny to see some of their reactions to like our out of context clips.
Yeah.
Like because we're ripping clips, folks, and we're pulling them out of these long content episodes that have entire stories. So if you're getting like the bookend, you're like, what are you talking about? And then their reactions are kind of like also from outer space. So I feel like the reactions sometimes don't even match the clips. But anyway, that's what the fans are doing. The
Taco Bell rant was pretty funny.
The Taco Bell rant?
The Taco Bell rant when they're like, if you're going to Taco Bell.
Yeah. Well, today we posted a clip about Talk to Her, which is a horror movie. And that we were talking about Google Trends and people should watch that movie. And then somebody thought I was talking about a different hand movie. So I thought that's what you were talking about, but you said Taco Bell. Yeah, the Taco Bell thing is like, they're like offended that we said it would take you $60 to buy Taco Bell. And people are like, what Taco Bell are you going to? Me and my friends, we've never used it Taco Bell. I'm like, oh, these are the poor bros. These are like the bros. You know what I mean? Like who don't have girlfriends. Like they don't.
Like, exactly. Right. Yeah. I'm like, yo, you know what? Just drop an extra $20 on your queen on some Taco Bell. Yeah. Well, $60 worth of Taco Bell, okay?
I mean, I don't want to be a jackass, but it felt like the incels, which are involuntary celibate, I felt like the incels were the ones raising all the ruckus and not any regular dudes who are just like going about their lives eating burritos. I felt like it was the ones who were crying while they're eating their burritos. I was like, dude, and I guess I'm coming from the perspective of like maybe even an average family size. Like if you have if you're just trying to feed 3 or 4 people, you're going to be like, damn, what the hell just happened? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like
I'm
Taco
getting
Bell, man.
a large Baja Blast and a massive quesadilla with extra chicken and 3 tacos, and that's like still not enough, and that's just me. That's what I'm getting. So I can imagine with other family members. But anyways, sorry, talk about rant over.
The way to go though is to get the points in the apps. And this sounds like,
I know.
Oh, you got to be some like giant pig to download all the food apps. But actually, if you want to get those 90 prices, like we're talking about 90s movies, let's talk about 90s fast food prices. If you want to get a deal on your Big Mac or your freaking chicken nuggets, you got to get the apps now because they'll do like the giveaways, certain days of the week. The craziest thing was that Wendy's was going to test peak pricing, like a rideshare app, but then like it got so many people heated on the internet. They're like, oh, maybe we're not going to try this marketing idea where we switch our prices based on how many people want Wendy's at any particular time. And it may have been blown out of proportion. Who knows what Wendy's was actually going to do? Nobody really knows. But the story, once the thing's online, that's it. That's the story, right?
And let's keep fast food fast. We don't need to be doing surcharges just because people are hungry. So,
I mean, it's still it's no longer economical, but it's still convenient, right? Like
like I said, I spent $60 on freaking Taco Bell.
Yeah.
That ain't cheap.
But in theory, you still get through the line in 10 minutes, hopefully.
I just love it.
The worst is when they're like, can you just pull your call to the side and somebody will run out your bag to you? You're like, wait a minute here. That's when you feel like the world is breaking down. You feel like, wait a minute. The exchange is I pull up to a drive-thru. We go through the drive-thru. We leave with our bag of food.
In the drive-thru.
But this is like, I'm sorry, sir. You've ordered the number 6. We were only prepared for you to order the number 1 through 4. You know what I mean? Like, pull aside. And these complaints, like, people who are like, if anybody's listening and starving, they're like, these fucking assholes are just complaining about drive-through lines. Anyway, the world is full of all kinds of stories, folks. That would be a way to, if you want to sell your app, like I order a Big Mac and you give away a Big Mac, that would be cool. I get to eat and somebody else gets to eat. But I don't know if they're willing. I don't know if anybody's done anything like that.
I just eat both Big Macs. It sounds so good.
Oh, you know what I will say though, we eat chemicals. I'll just admit it. We love our chemicals because like that's what we have fillers, guys. And let me tell you, man, additive fillers, whatever else is there. I don't know. It's like when you go to the store and it's not juice. It's just called like blue and red. You're like, oh yeah. 0%
the flavor
juice.
Blue. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to get a jug of blue. Anyway, that's a huge rant. And they're like, maybe you're like revealing too much of our food opinions. Yeah, if I lived outside the United States, it might be nice to actually just eat what actually food tastes like. I have no idea what it tastes like. I only know what my chemical filler 17734568 tastes like. And blue and red. Red 40, baby. Actually, I heard Red 40 was organic because it's made out of beetles.
Interesting.
Anyway. This one's really gotten away for us at the end. Oh, well.
It really did. Got away from us for sure.
And I was just trying to plug in with
Taco Bell cost.
Taco Bell really is too political for this show. We got to be careful. All right. If you watch something else besides the movie of the week and you want to tell people about it, what is your staff pick? Do you have one?
I feel like I did watch a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I did watch The Program on Netflix. That was pretty interesting. It's another docuseries that talks about the troubled teen industry. It's about 5 episodes. Check it out. Get a little insight there. There's a couple of other shows that talk about the same industry. Did see Dune 2 in theaters, and that was a really fun experience. One of like the best movies I've seen, I think, ever in theaters. So loved that. Yeah, rewatching some shows. It's on Max. What about you? Anything?
Ripped open the new Shogun. So there's like in the 80s, maybe late 70s, early 80s. I'm not sure. Definitely feels like 70s TV, like Shogun. And, oh, man. Richard Chamberlain, I think, is the name of the actor who was in the first Shogun. But essentially, an English sailor washes up in Japan and then gets caught up into, like, kind of like a civil war between the fiefdoms in ancient Japan or whatever during time when like Japan's opened up its shores to like different trade routes or whatever. But it's like England's fighting with Spain and Portugal at the same time. The lords in Japan are fighting with each other, and so they all pick allies on different sides or whatever. But it's definitely like a soap opera with samurais. But the new one is like a drama. You get to see who the samurai lords are. You have a pretty interesting actor playing the new version of the English guy that gets washed up there. And there's actually, because it's effects, like there's a couple of like character actors that just kind of like pop up. Like there was a couple of guys. I can't think of their names. I didn't plan to write it down. I'll just say this. The new Shogun's really good. It just got started. Take a look at it. It's on like Hulu, Hulu/FX/ whatever it is now. And what else did I do? I watched a movie that I watched the Marvels actually, which just seems like it seemed like an episode of television. It didn't actually seem like a movie. It just seemed like one of the Marvel TV shows, like a longer version of that. Anyway, it's not as bad as people had said it is. I remember they gave it a lot of gripe, when it came out or whatever. But whatever. And I tend to watch like the same things over and over again. So I'm watching more older stuff. Like when I go off on these things where I'm like, oh, I'm watching LA Law. You know what I mean?
Probably, yeah.
Other things like that. Like I'm going back through Always Sunny in Philadelphia episodes right now.
So good.
And, yeah. Oh, I was gonna mention earlier that like Godzilla won an Oscar, and I forgot to mention that. So that should have been up at the very tippy top of the episode. I didn't mention that. Godzilla -1 won an Oscar for Best Visual Effects, which is really interesting because they had a budget of like nothing, and they made better special effects than these movies that have like $200 million budgets. So there's like a reconfiguration, or like let's go back to zero on these movies. Like they're, like another guy won for writing. I think adapting the screenplay for American Fiction, he won, and he was like on the stage, and I think he said something like, let's make 20 $10 million movies or 50 $4 million movies instead of like one or two $250 million movie, and so we could have like a bunch of more stories on the screen. And if you look at like Godzilla, like just being creative with their effects and their budget and winning an Oscar for it, and well deserved, because now you can say like Godzilla won an Oscar. Kind of funny.
That's pretty cool. That is cool. That's a headline.
Pretty good year for the Oscars. I'm not going to go into everything that happened. I just wanted to bring up the Godzilla thing. Yeah, besides our Taco Bell debate, we'll be back with more movie-related podcasts, unless you cancel us over our opinion on food apps. I don't know what's going to happen. Wow. Anyway, if you own a cat, you should probably get that pretty litter. Tell you what.
That pretty litter.
Oh, let's talk about next week's movie. So every once in a while, we like to play this movie called Movie Roulette, where I just describe things to Jordan, and she picks one based on the description.
It's been so long.
Be the movie it's been a while. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
I'll do it for the audience too, and they can try to figure it out. The stepdad is a werewolf. PTSD, blindness, and werewolves maybe? ? Third option. Psychiatrists have seen this movie, and they say it depicts a true psychopath.
But there's no werewolves involved in number 3.
There's no werewolves in that. No, there's no werewolves in that one. However, there is a cat-related movie. There's 2 cat people-related movies on my list because I think they're warped. I know we're talking about Pretty Litter, and we're trying to get the audience. If you're a cat owner, I have a thing about cat owners. Jordan's a cat owner. We have some mutual respect, but there's a line in the sand.
There is.
There's a line in the cat litter.
In the cat litter, right in the pretty litter.
So there's a cat people movie that also has an Oedipal issue. So Oedipus Rex with cat mutants. Okay, that's another option.
Okay.
Circus with a killer with no arms? ? Is another option.
Whoa.
The next one is just the title of this movie. It's also cat related. Are We Not Cats? Is the name of that movie. That's option 5, 6. I don't know how many we're up to.
I think we're at 6.
Oh, he wanted to join the police academy, but he couldn't pass the psych evaluation. That's another option. That's the final option. So
okay,
I've given you a litany of mysterious taglines.
Okay, I'm torn between number 3, which is one that psychologists have seen and that kind of threw them for a loop, or I think I want to go with the circus killer with no arms.
Hot damn. The one with the circus and the killer with no arms is a movie that's really really intense by a filmmaker who only makes really weird shit. And this movie was not widely available, but has suddenly become widely available. It's a palate cleanser for sure. And also, I think somebody who has a weak will or a weak stomach may not be able to get to the podcast next week after watching this movie. We'll find out. That's a movie called Santa Sangre.
Okay.
So
let's do it.
Buckle up.
I
definitely think if the wrong person walks into the room while you're watching, if the wrong person walks into the room while you're watching this movie, judgments will be made.
Yeah. Won't watch it while I'm on the treadmill.
Watch it in secret. Yeah.
Got it.
And not in front of your pets, because I've heard that pets, especially cats, are very judgmental of their owners. That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard on the streets. Can't confirm.
Keep 'em out.
But yeah. Not for their little kitty cat eyes. It's not for them.
I will shield them, protect them at all costs, and not watch the movie.
So sincere. Pet owners, man. You know, I could cut out the entire part about the Taco Bell. Because what have I said about this show? No religion, no politics. What else? What was the third thing? I think there was a third thing that we don't touch on. However, I'm too lazy of an editor. I'm not going to cut anything out. Because you know what's funny is like the things you think will offend people in a podcast aren't. And the things you think they'll like are not the things that they quote. And the things they quote, you just go... Like if I was a cartoon character, it'd just be question mark. You know how they could just appear above your head, like old school,
the
like
thought bubbles.
Yeah, the little bubbles. Like that's what they took away from that 45-minute conversation. Okay, all right.
I spend too much money on Taco Bell. Yeah.
Oh man, but nothing about the movie or the opinions or like the nothing. Yeah, just that. Like
that's what's
just condescending about the amount of money spent to Taco Bell.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do it again.
Come on, you Richie, $60. 1%er and your 1% burrito person. Yeah. We're not ordering from the cravings menu, bitch.
I did see a Taco Bell
an actual combo.
I saw a Taco Bell cantina this weekend, though.
Oh, you saw the bar that they own? Yeah. Like how they? Dang, I didn't know how many they have of those. Where like it's like, dude, I heard that not Taco Bell, but another one. I heard Burger King had a wedding chapel.
Yeah, Taco Bell has one too.
Holy crap. Well, cutting edge stuff, folks. There's actually a movie called Demolition Man, where the only restaurant that survives in the restaurant wars, apocalypse of the
restaurant wars
is Taco Bell. Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
But in that movie, when they go there, it's like an art gallery opening / like the plates that come out are not like, it's not Taco Bell anymore. It's like, whatever.
The food has to remain the same, but
whatever the aristocrats
like a really cool
2046
party.
are eating.
Yeah, interesting.
That movie's also about a class war, so really kind of, again, what a weird episode. Like had a lot of fun. We'll see what people think of Wishmaster Evil Never Dies. Yeah.